Hello, everyone. News about the screen adaptation of one of the most large-scale games, which gathered more than 1 million fans. Warhammer 40,000 is gaining momentum, and today we will try to talk more about the pros of this project, about Amazon, Prime Video, and of course, the actor Henry Cavill, for whom this screen adaptation, in case of success, will be a real cherry on the cake. And here let's try to add a little optimism. First of all, yes, Prime Video screwed up with their big fantasy series, but still, as for Warhammer, it's not fantasy in its purest form, but rather a mix with science fiction, and if you want, even with a dash of cyberpunk, forgive me fans. And already in the genre of science fiction, Amazon is not so bad. Take, for example, the last seasons of the series Space, which viewers rated 93% out of 100, or Peripherals, a show that easily shut up the super expensive power rings and just a week after release became the most popular on Prime Video. Yes, at the end of the day, think back to the TV series The Dudes. Yes, of course, it's not there at all if we talk about the genre and themes, but on the other hand, it is super tough, unadorned, harsh approach of the series. That's exactly what many people think a Warhammer adaptation needs. So with the first point, I think you'll agree that you should not bury Prime Videos in advance, referring only to the failures of their fantasy flagships. Plus, as far as the Warhammer series is concerned, here Prime Video can avoid one of the major woes of all recent adaptations: fan anger over non-compliance with canon. What do you think about it? Write your comments, and also write about whether you are interested in a separate video as a certain guide to the Warhammer universe for a better understanding of the future of the series, and if yes, put your thumbs up. As soon as there are more than 100 likes, I will make such a separate video. Because that's the thing, Warhammer 40K isn't a book or even a series of books. It's much more: board games, video games, and just hundreds of books by all sorts of authors combined in common with this. That is, in general, the main thing for the authors of the screen adaptation is to stay true to the general canon of the story, while in the details they can have a fairly large flight of fancy and not risk running into fan anger. And after all, in the Warhammer universe, it's hard to say what's true and what's not. Then again, everything is shaped by hundreds of different stories. So many believe that if you think about it, this universe is the genius definition of an unreliable storyteller. No story is 100% true. Chaos corrupts and changes the past, present, and even the future. So a lot here could just be legends told by someone or lies. And consequently, if you learn to maneuver in this ocean of chaos, in theory, it may be even easier to adapt than other fully established, unambiguous universes like Lord of the Rings, The Witcher, or Game of Thrones. And finally, Henry Cavill, as a guarantee of success, also cannot help but inspire optimism, especially since he is not the only one. After all, the fact that the project involves people who really care about it makes me personally very happy, because both The Wheel of Time and Rings of Power were overseen by people who didn't seem to care too much about the source material. They were series that appeared to have been quite cynically and pragmatically chosen to fill a market niche and make money. Now, Amazon has finally realized its mistake, actively engaging with Games Workshop and bringing in his true fan, Henry Cavill, who is not only obsessed with fantasy and computer games, in a good way, of course, but who is also one of Hollywood's most iconic nerds, again, in a good way of the word. He's obsessed with source material, faithfulness to canon, accuracy in detail, and finally getting the chance to do something worthy, unlike The Witcher, which remains a real pain for the Brit. Not without reason, Cavill, commenting on his deal with Prime Video and participation in the future project, said that finally, after several decades in this field, he feels the strength, experience, and opportunity to make a really worthy of the audience adaptation of the cult universe. As for the company Games Workshop, which developed and publishes the board game, it is also very actively interested in protecting its intellectual property and in making sure that this very property is not distorted. After all, again, if we talk about, for example, the same Rings of Power or the Wheel of Time, then there, alas, to great regret, the creators of the original source has already left our world. and their descendants are most likely more interested in making money than a really worthy result. Whereas, for example, if we talk about franchises, the authors of which are still alive and can in one way or another take part, or at least influence the development of adaptation, there in general everything turns out much better. To summarize, it seems to me personally that Warhammer 40K is the project that has the most potential to become something as iconic and maddening to audiences around the world as Game of Thrones was at its best. And despite all the risks and some skepticism, Amazon is in a position to make it happen, which is something we'd really like to hope and believe. What do you think about it? Write your comments, and also write about whether you are interested in a separate video as a certain guide to the Warhammer universe for a better understanding of the future of the series. And if yes, put your thumbs up. As soon as there are more than 100 likes, I will make such a separate video. That's all for now. Thank you all for watching. See you all again.